And I love how they just add that in the beginning there. I'm Melissa, and welcome to your past life and spiritual gifts reading. First and foremost, thank you so much for your patience. And now we're going to get into this. So, this thing here, this pizza cookie thing, is a representation of your life as Melissa. This is the blueprint for this chapter because Melissa has been many different races, religions, genders, names, identities, from grass to animal to human over the course of hundreds or possibly even thousands of freaking years as we have entered Earth's atmosphere with the goal of learning so many lessons that when we return back to the astral, to the sky field, that we are able to go wherever we want to in the multiverse. So, with that being said, this right here is the blueprint for your life as Melissa. With that being said, we're going to look to these black areas right here in the middle. These are a representation of the way that the sky was set up at the time that you were born. And if you would just imagine for a moment that your baby body was a radio receiver, because we're made up of protons, neutrons, and molecules. At the moment that you took your first breath, these are the magnetic energies that created your consciousness, which is the guiding force that is pulling you along your path. What is your path? My dear, you are at the first degree, the beginning of taking the path of the Leo. This is the creative, the person in love with children, unique expression, freedom, finding out what you want in this life. This is all about being the entertainer, the politician, the muse, the motivational speaker, and just sort of learning what life is by your own means. And that's the path that you will take the whole time from beginning to end. Now, on this path, there's a backlight, which represents where you have come from, what you've already accomplished, what you're sort of gangsta at. And then there's a forward light, a flashlight, that's showing you where you're going. For you, you are meant to be going away from or conquering, first conquering spirituality, learning about things like this, a belief system that means that everybody can have their own beliefs, essentially. Just understanding that everybody has a place and a reason for what they do, and just a philosophy that allows empathy for all. Now, after you sort of come up with your own sort of study or belief system, you're meant to come away from that and move over here to teaching or sharing with the people that you grew up with, your younger siblings, or where you grew up at, or even if you moved away from them, somewhere that's at least 2 hours or more where you're at, you're at, essentially. You're meant to take all this information that you learn out here in the world and share it for people who need it locally. Um, with that being said, let's get to this past life now. So, for you, first and foremost, we got this Pisces energy over here. This means that you totally gave up your life for religion last time. This could be as a nun or a monk, somebody in a monastery or something, but religion was your life. This is backed up by the fact that you have this Cancer in 12th. 12th house is the house of karma, everything left over from the last life. And for you, yours has to do with family, nurturing, and a lack of boundaries, which, of course, when you have to deal with possibly being a religious figure at some point, your boundaries are gone because you're caring for other people more than yourself. So it gives you still a bit of a martyr, so to speak, energy now. Like you're willing to hurt yourself for other people because you know how other people suffer and that sort of thing. But and that energy is your part of fortune, which is your sprinkle of luck. But karmically speaking, you may have had a life as a royal, but definitely a lot of lifetimes where you worked for the family, domestic work, a lot of time, and servitude could even possibly be the case with this here. Now, the next area we're going to look at is this moon, which also backs up that you used to be a religious figure or a teacher because the moon connects to your past. Um, This Gemini energy is the teacher and the student, but this Libra energy, which is the beginning of your family cusp, your foundation cusp, and who you are at your root, is a writer, somebody who takes their ideas and puts them onto paper and shares those ideas with other people. And in this life, you actually have a karmic thing that you're supposed to be sharing, a child, or something that you were meant to express, some sort of philosophy that you have to give to the world in your creative expression. And you have to overcome the wounds. That is what happened to your family in this life, because what happened with your family this life had to do with the karma necessary for you to learn not burdens, well, I guess that for you to learn boundaries when dealing with family and other people, so that when you go out into the world, you can't be sort of taken advantage of. So that is the heavy energy of the past life we have going on here. Regarding gifts, ma'am, I got a bit jarred. Lord, a second ago, looking at your chart, is what do you currently do for a living, my love? That's really, all right, so let me explain. This lower area here, right? When you see a lot of planets down here, this means somebody is meant to be doing something that is building the self. This first house is house of self versus self. This is you and your belongings, you and your siblings and your people, your neighbors and shit. This fourth house, you and your family. This fifth house, you and your kids and you're in your creativity. The sixth house, you and your coworkers. But everything up here is something that happens out in the world. Something that you're meant to do that has to be for like the collective. Do you feel like you're supposed to be doing something for people? Because this right here is the house of like the public eye. This is in partnership. This is other people's money and power. This is foreign lands, foreign travel. This is fame, career, reputation. This is the internet and the collective. And this is just like the spirit world over here, right? So for you, um, your gifts are all in this upper area. There is something that you were supposed to be teaching or thinking. Do you sing by any chance? That could be something too. Um, but let's get to these gifts that you have on this, because absolutely with you having planets up in here and anything in 17 degrees, 5, 17, 29, so you have your Neptune in 29, are all fame degrees. When you have something in Leo, that also counts. So in response to what your gifts are, man, this is loaded. First and foremost, your palace, which is your representation of your unique genius. You understand technology, you understand online, networking with people. And that is where your transformation is meant to come about. You are literally going through a, what's the word? A Jupiter return, which means you're meeting your network, your best people right now. But you are formulating your business in your day-to-day life, coming together as the entrepreneur, putting these things together for you because you, ma'am, came here to be inspiration. And this leads to your second house of the natural gifts that you have to inspire others, to create life you value and create income for yourself. Now, with you having this Leo here, first and foremost, that gives you the gifts of the entertainer, the muse, the comedian, the humor, the sprinkle that helps other people. But for you, it's particularly handy because you have a bit of a perfectionist streak. But that perfectionist streak is sort of smothered, or like people let it pass because you have all this humor and they know it's coming from a good place. Now, for you and your communication, you are a healer. You came to be of service through having a business. You have the gift of possibly healing with your hands, but anything that has to do with health, nutrition, fitness, you already have sort of an understanding of, and that's literally what you're meant to be telling people about in their day-to-day life. Anything that helps them want to stay in their body more. Now, at your core, because of what happened during your childhood, you're a bit of a psychologist, the thinker. You understand other people's psyches. You're always aware of their motives. And there is a possibility that there are even things you don't remember from childhood, but because of what occurred, your subconscious does, which is another set of gifts that you have. Your power is in philosophy, the ability to turn optimism or take any situation and make it optimistic. Using your voice as a beacon is one of your gifts. There's something about you that just understands what's wrong with somebody, even if they won't tell you, and you sort of know how to heal somebody who doesn't want to be healed, so to speak. Like you're telling people what they need to hear without knowing that you're like digging in their psyche at the time, because you are meant to be the teacher, the talker, the thinker. You belong to a certain group of people who write and share knowledge and communicate. Like your mind is meant to be the forefront of your career as you bring peace into other people's lives. So the gifts that you have been given are those of peace after misery, so to speak. Your optimism is the biggest thing here. Spiritually speaking, you are an empath. Almost probably so to the fact that it's probably bothersome. Like you can feel how other people feel. You don't even have to be looking at them. Like you probably can tell, like if you have a child, when your child has a fever without measuring it in any way, shape, or form. This also means that in your dreams, you might get like, you'll know when somebody's sick in a dream, you pop up the next day, like, hey, check on me, mom, or some shit like that. Because of the way that this Cancer for you is set up in the 12th house that connects you to the all, that connects your, what's the word? Your inspiration, things that come to you from the spiritual realms. Now, with this Cancer here, that connects to your family, your foundation, your psyche. But Neptune is the place where their energy gets put out. So for you, you are taking everything that you see or feel that inspired by your dreams, your intuition, and what you know people need, and you're meant to put that out in your career. And that is what makes you the businesswoman. And that's what makes you known. This 29 degrees is a karmic business that you have, speaking your mind that you put online, man. This was lit. Like your gifts are right out in the front. You have the placements of somebody who was pioneering a new way of teaching, of sharing with other people. And for you, The peak of this whole thing is going to be doing something that has not been done before. Writing something. Do you do music by any chance? Let me know and we can dig into this a little bit further. Although that's career, it's still like your gifts are set up in such a way that we totally need to have this conversation because the world needs help right now. And based on your past life, you've already done this. You have all the tools here, man. So thank you, Melissa. This was both your past life and your gifts reading.